Good morning, everyone. I figured today we would bridge the gap for Patches and Tiny's story. Basically, how they came into my hands. This date right here is the date that I rescued them from underneath our other house. 3 days prior to this, we found them outside at night on our ramp, and they were very scared, and they ran underneath the trailer, and we had to borrow a live trap that you would use to catch like feral cats and stuff. But they were so small that we had to improvise. So what we did is I took a can of Coke and I halfway filled it up and I stuck it in the side of the corner of the cage, because the foot trap that you press on that like operates the door, they weren't heavy enough for that to happen. And we didn't know at the time if Tiny was a girl or Patchy was a boy or not, but we learned that once we caught them, of course. But they were so small. See, here's a picture that I have. This is the night after we caught them. This is Patches right here. And then Tiny's like really stuck to him. This is the big giant dog cage that we had them in, because I had to keep them in quarantine because we didn't know if they had anything. And I caught them by rigging up a rig with a soda can and tying a shoestring to the tab. And I put food in the back and I pulled the string and caught both of them. And I always do a 14-day quarantine just to make sure before I, release them. And they were outside, so I didn't know if they, knew how to use the litter box or knew anything about any of that. Because the reason why we waited 3 days is because I wanted to make sure that their mother was nowhere to be found. And she wasn't. She never came back or anything, and they were starving. So that's why I knew I had to take action. But these are the photos that I have of them. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's the only two. Yeah. At the time, I had limited resources, so all I have is this right here. And I don't know if you can tell, but they are very, very small. We caught them on a Friday, and hi, Patches. We took him to the vet that Monday because we noticed Patches' left front paw had no hair on it. And we come to find out he had a sprain. And he had hurt himself under the trailer and it had took all the hair off. But our vet said that, it would probably heal up because he was young and everything would be good. So he dewormed them and we found out they had fleas. So it was a good thing we did put them in quarantine. And then we noticed a couple days later that their stool smelled horribly. And they had already dewormed them, but we didn't, think. We were like, oh my God, what is that? So we called the vet, and they told us that it's very possible that it could be coccidia or giardia. Well, we did a stool sample, and Patches and Tiny had giardia. And it took 3 months of 24-hour care. They had to stay in the big cage this whole time because it is extremely contagious if any other cat comes in contact with the litter box. That's how they pass it back and forth. And Patches and Tiny, they had a bad habit of playing in the litter box and bringing their stuff out, and then they'd slop it in the water dish, so I was constantly sterilizing everything. It was a nightmare. But 3 months after that, like gobs of medication. They had Panicure and the Metro whatever that they use for cats. The problem is our guys were too small to have both medication at the same time to save them. So we had to kind of like go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So basically we didn't kill them because of how much medication, we were giving them because they were so little. When we got Patches and took him, he He was like 2 pounds something, almost 3. And Tiny was a pound something. And they said that they were about 3 months old, but they barely had, you know, just a little bit of teeth and everything. So come to find out, they were only like a month and a half. They were like just barely weaned. So, yeah, that was a long stretch. Oh, I have another picture. Yeah. That's on the same day as well. They were looking at the camera. They're like, oh, look at them. Yep. Say good morning, guys. That's pretty much, we were going to do like their boosters and all that kind of stuff. But our vet said, let's try to get them healthy. Let's see if they're going to make it. He didn't want to try anything, like, because, you know, normally you give them their vaccines and all that kind of stuff. But because we found out they were so sick that we had to make sure that they were going to live because he didn't want to shock their system. Well, they were unable to get any of their vaccinations because of that, because they were so sick for so long. So all they were able to get was their rabies and whatever they give them when they spay and neuter them. But after that, Giardia is so hard on their intestinal tract. It pretty much is like parvo to a puppy. It just basically destroys it. So they have to be on prescription food for the rest of their lives, or they'll basically, in layman's terms, they'll just crap everywhere and they won't be able to control their bowels. So they had to be put on Flora, which is like a probiotic for cats, for 2 months. And that got everything back in track, plus with the prescription food. And that's what fixed them. And then they were finally healthy enough, February of last year, which was 2015. They were finally healthy enough to get spayed and neutered, and they were 7 months old by then. That's what the vet said. And here's a picture of Tiny right after surgery. We brought her home, so you can see the date. And she's got her cone on because she was a little stinker and she wanted to dig at her stitches, of course. Let's see. Trying to work the other device. I thought I had another picture. I guess I don't. But yeah. There's Tiny after a cone. She hated that thing. She got that thing off 3 times. She was a little booger when it comes to post-op surgery, because she figured out how to get the cone off, and then she'd dig at her stitches, and I'd wake up and I'd be like, what is she doing? You know, what is she doing? What is she doing over there? It has like something's not right with the picture. And then I forgot, you know, oh my God, where's the cone? So we rushed her to the vet 3 times to have her stitches cleaned, checked, and she had to get compresses and everything because she got an infection from her digging at her stitches after her spay. And she had to get on medicine and everything. And so, but as you can see in the video, she's fully healed up and everything went great. They did an amazing job. We didn't know she was going to have a reaction to the surgery. But this little bugger right here, Patches, you couldn't even tell. They snipped him. No, he was acting like he was normal that day. He was like, hey, look at me, guys. Da, 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 da. And they're like, oh, keep them as quiet as possible. Right. You try to keep kittens that quiet. It's impossible. But that is their story. They were 2 years old last month. No. Yeah, last month. Like the second week. Or basically around the same time Domino and Tabby turned 14, they became 2. And it's a celebration we celebrated on the 28th of September because that's the day we got them. But if you go to their, well, no, actually, yeah, it would be August. So this month they'll be 2 years old. Sorry the video is really long. I just wanted to let you guys know about Tiny and Patches' story, because probably some of you are wondering. Yeah, they're not really doing much. It stormed really bad last night, so they're all kind of just chilling and hanging out because they were playing and stuff in the storm. It does not bother them at all. But thank you for all you guys if you did sit through this really long video. And we do appreciate your comments and everything, and I'm glad that you guys all enjoy watching the videos and everything, and you guys have a great day.